Hey guys, my name is Timio, and welcome to our episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming-related questions, and then I will give my humble opinion on them. To get the formalities out of the way real quick, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. The first question for today is, what are your thoughts on the two new leaked operators coming to Rainbow Six Siege called Caltrop and Dazzler? So if you're not aware, there was someone who went into the technical test servers and data mined these two new operators. Now, you need to know that this could just be their code names. This may not actually be what they're called when we finally get our hands on them, but it kind of gives us an idea of what Ubisoft was going for. And so my first reaction to Caltrop was that that is exactly what his gadget was going to be. Shiny metal that he could place down on the ground where anyone stepped on it would either take damage, maybe slow the enemy's movement, and it would be another obstacle that they'd have to deal with on offense when they were trying to push on to the objective. One theory that I've heard of for a really long time now, like this isn't anything new, is to have caltrops that would act as basically a buffed version of barbed wire. Barbed wire is really good right now, but one big counter to it is that it can be destroyed by a grenade. Of course, you could also melee it and things like that, but what if you could place down these caltrops that basically were there forever, because it's just metal. I mean, it's not like you can physically destroy these things. Even if you threw a grenade in, it would just kind of scatter them around a little bit. It would basically be a buffed up barbed wire that would always slow them down and really hamper their movements. If that is the way that it worked on paper, it doesn't sound all that impressive, but in reality, I think that that would be a really powerful operator gadget. The other idea is that it would just be like barbed wire, but deal damage. If that was true, I don't think that would be all that great. I mean, it would be okay because you could have barbed wire and caltrops everywhere, and it could really slow down the enemy's progress. But if that's the only thing that it brings to the table, I don't really see many people wanting to play as this operator when they are on defense. The other concept, because this actually has a bit more backing to it, is that they also found on the technical test servers that supposedly he's also going to have access to some sorts of smoke trip mine or landmine. Now, what we don't know about yet, though, is will this be his primary gadget or will it be his secondary gadgets? They also went on in and found that there's going to be some sort of concussive mine as well. And so I think there could be two ways that we could look at this guy. The first one is that he has some sort of primary gadget like the caltrops that he can use, the main reason why you want to use this guy. And then the secondary gadget, he has the option between a stun mine or a gas mine. The other way it could work is that his primary gadget could just simply be the smoke mine, and then he also has access to the stun mine as a secondary. In general, though, with everything that we know so far, I think it's pretty safe to assume that this guy is going to be all about slowing down the progress of the offensive team. His gadgets probably won't be lethal. Who knows? Maybe they'll also have some sort of mine that can explode and deal damage. But from his brief description that we've got, just from the name and the different gadgets that he has, it sounds like he's going to be all about locking down the objective, setting up traps to slow down their progress, and if they do jump on in, either they're going to have to deal with a stun grenade in the face and be disoriented, or they'll set off a gas mine, which forces them to either push on through, which leaves them at a massive disadvantage, or they're going to have to fall back and wait for that to dissipate. All in all, though, I cannot wait to see what this guy is all about when they officially release him. The next one is Dazzler. We don't know a whole lot about this guy because this is all we know, his name. One theory that I have heard bounce around, though, is that maybe he has access to a flashlight or a laser that he can place on his weapon, which will blind the enemy. Now, once again, on paper, doesn't sound all that useful, but if you guys ever played Battlefield 3 when it first released, flashlights were a nightmare to deal with. If the enemy was looking anywhere near your direction, because those flashlights were so bright, you were blinded. You had no idea what was going on around you. Some people claimed that all you needed to do was shoot at the center of the flashlights, and that would get you the kill. But it was a lot easier said than done. It was one of those mechanics that I despised when it was out, and I was thankful when they nerfed it into oblivion because it was just not something that I wanted in a first-person shooter. And so if that is the way that Dazzler works, now once again, this is all speculation, we don't know anything other than his name right now, but if he's able to place a flashlight or some sort of laser beam that where he aims at someone, it really disorients their screen and they have a hard time knowing what's going on in front of them. That could be a nightmare, just like it was back in Battlefield 1. If you're not able to see his face because your screen is all bright, well, he's going to be able to shoot at your face and put you at a massive disadvantage. Now, one way they could balance this out is that if the flashlight is on at all times, well, the enemy's going to have a general idea of where he's coming from. I mean, this bright beacon is about to round the corner. That should be pretty obvious. Let me know what you guys think about these two operators, though. Do you sort of agree with my assessment? Do you think that Ubisoft is going to go another way with it? Give me your guys' thoughts down below. All in all, I'm really excited to see what they come up with. I kind of like the idea of having an operator that's all about slowing down the enemy, and who knows, maybe Caltrop is going to be on the offensive team, and he's going to be about just countering roamers. I know that we just got Jackal last update, but maybe they're not satisfied and they want to punish roamers even more. That is also a possibility, and so give me your guys' thoughts down below. The next question comes from Aaron, and it is, do you think that Echo should be changed to a 3-speed, 1-armored operator? Every part of his setup, gadget that helps finds and stuns enemies, a forced silenced MP5 makes him a very viable roamer, but his 3 armor 1 speed ratio makes him very underused. Those are honestly some good points. I would not go as far to say that Echo is useless right now. I still think that he's a decent operator, but I think a lot of people would also agree that he could use an upgrade, and this, I guess this is a pretty significant change, but this change from going 3 armor to 3 speed could actually benefit his kit in the long run. As you said, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense why he would use a suppressed MP5 when he's not going to really be getting flanks off. Like, you would think someone who is using a suppressed weapon is trying to catch the enemy by surprise and going for these flanks. That's not really an option with the 3 armored targets. It also is kind of puzzling when you think about his entire drone concept. I would love to go find a safe room on the map, get into my drone and scout out what the enemy is doing, and then when I figure out what's about to happen, I can then rush on back as quickly as possible. Once again, limited by his 3 armor. Now, one counter argument to this is, well, you don't need to find a safe room. You just need to place down your deployable shield directly on the objective and defend it. That's what he's all about. He is meant about slowing down the progress, letting your team know when they're about to push in, and then taking advantage of his 3 armor to hopefully win the firefights. The thing is, though, is that once again, why does he need to have access to a suppressed primary weapon? The enemy is going to drone out the objective. They're going to figure out where he's at pretty quickly, and while he might be able to surprise one enemy, that surprise isn't going to last very long, once again, because he can't move around very quickly. And so while I know what Ubisoft was going for, they were trying to create an anchor operator. They wanted someone that was going to sit on that objective and lock it down with his drone. I get what they wanted, but when you actually look at his kit and the way that he performs in reality and the way that he performs right now, I honestly think that if they changed him to a 3-speed operator, that would be a massive difference. But of course, we would only know if we actually tried it out. The next question comes from Dylan, and it is, do you think that PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds will be released on console? I have been getting this question all the time, and to my understanding, it looks like the developers have every plan of bringing this to Xbox and PlayStation 4. That said, though, I would not expect it in the next couple of months. Right now, even on PC, they have a lot of issues that they need to work around. One of the biggest ones right now is that they need to optimize the hell out of this game. You probably noticed, even in today's video, that the graphics don't look stunning. And while this is an indie game, it's not like a massive AAA title, you would expect the graphics to look a little bit better. Well, the main reason why this is because everyone is running on low settings because they want to have at least a decent frame rates. There are sections of this map where your frame rate will drop down to like 20 FPS. Even if you have a beast of a computer, you look in the direction of a city, your frame is going to plummet, and it makes for a pretty awful experience. If you get into a firefight against someone, you have 20 frames per second, but they're looking into the field where you are, and they got 60 frames per second, they're gonna win that firefight. Like, it's a night and day difference, and honestly, it's a little nauseating. Another thing they're gonna have to work around is the loot system. There's a lot of items in this game. You need to be able to pick them up efficiently, you need to then be able to place them in the different slots that you want them to, and I don't think that's gonna be an easy task. You're gonna have to choose, do I want a holographic? Do I want do I want an ACOG scope? And how are you gonna be able to do that quickly? You're going to be in the thick of combat. If things start to pop off and you wanna switch that holographic for an ACOG scope on your primary weapon, how are you going to be able to do that swiftly while using a controller? And so making the transition from all the keybinds that we have on a mouse and keyboard and transferring that on over to a controller is going to be another challenge that they're going to have to overcome. All in all, though, I'm right there with you. I know a lot of people have been itching for a Battle Royale style game on console because I think so far, there hasn't been any. There's been some game developers that have promised it, but they've always fallen short or it's just never come on out. And so this could be the very first. And so I'm crossing my fingers. Hopefully they're going to be able to do this soon because the more the merrier. Everyone will be able to understand and realize how awesome this game is. It is one of the most refreshing first-person shooters I've played in quite some time. And I would love if everyone on console had a chance to play it as well. But yeah, guys, that has been it for today's Sunday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about what we discussed in today's video. Are you excited for PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds to come to console? Are you looking forward to the 2 new operators? Let me know down below. As always, if you would like to submit your own question for an upcoming episode, you can also leave a comment or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.